Hi students, I wanted to tell you about this project called glazing. Glazing is very different in watercolor than it is in acrylic. When you're working in acrylic and you mix colors together deliberately where they overlap, you create what's called the transparency illusion. With watercolor, it actually is that. You layer a piece over another piece and it actually is transparent. Since it's a transparent medium, you never want to use it in a thick, saturated way like that. For this project, you're going to use half of a sheet. So if you have a 15 by 20, it's going to be 10 by 15. And you're going to find three types of organic shapes in your house or outside. You can have different sizes of the same type of object, but you don't want to have more than three types. So there's one type, there's another type, and then I have a leaf here that could be the third. I could have a few leaves, different sizes, shapes, edges, but you don't want to go past three. Of course, they don't all have to be the same color like that. It's just that organic shapes a lot of times are green because they're found in nature. They can also be circles, they can be round things, as long as it's round shapes and not square or triangle, or objects that are organic in nature. You can even trace them on here. But in a design system, of course, you always want to have repetition, and you want to move the eye across the surface. So the eye will naturally move from one like thing to another. And having a variety of sizes is great on this too. So you want to kind of think about where you want to put it. I might have a large lemon over here, or lime. I might have a tiny one here and a really big one there. Having a really big thing is always the goal in a balanced design because you can anchor everything. So I'm going to use these objects as a reference. And our goal here is to practice that even wash again. The one that we did in the warm-up and in the color wheel, where you want no pilling, no puddles, no different scratchy saturations, no brush marks. It should be quick, 1, 2, 3, fast. And I'll do a demo here. For example, it should look like this at the end. I have some dry ones on the side, but see how smooth and even that is, like we did on the first project. What we're going to do is glazing here, but glazing takes almost an overnight dry. I always recommend overnight for this one because otherwise the effect doesn't work and you have backgrounds. So I'm going to just draw my design using these objects real lightly. You don't need any kind of rendering first. You just want to try to get the shape of things, the size, and always go off the edge. And then always have something very large in the back. That's sort of a medium. And draw right through because you don't want to have, I better do this darker, just so you can see. So this overlaps. You don't want to draw and end it there. You want to draw the whole shape just as you would in a organizational drawing. If you don't draw the whole thing, it ends up distorted. But in this case, we want to anyway because they're going to overlap. Now I want to have something huge in here. So maybe I'll do like a giant pepper. We don't even need to know what it is. It's gone off the edge. And then I have to get my leaf shape in there. No interior lines, no lines for leaves, no details, just the contour, that's the key. And try to get a real nice repetition off the edge. 3 of each is really a good design, at least 2. But I would never do one by itself because then there's nowhere for the eye to go. So I'll do another leaf shape here. And maybe a little lime over here, or the tip of a jalapeno really is like what that is. And then I'll do like here. That's plenty. I mean, negative space is beautiful. You don't need to have every single thing filled. I just want to make sure it's not too crowded here. So I might do one smaller line there. It's good to do different sizes because then you can practice with different brushes. Now this is all flat brush, all of it. And it's any color you want. But when you're painting it, you can only paint the things that overlap. What I mean is you have to paint through the things that overlap and you can't go back. If it overlaps, you can't paint it in the same day. Make sure you mix it really well in your palette. For example, if I paint this, and I'm trying to do it really fast, even wash, no streaks. Make sure you have enough of a puddle over there. Oops, streaks, bad news. Make sure it's very, very fast and the brush matches. That's okay as long as it's all together. It's got to match the size of the shape. Now if I go back in and try to tweak it or fix it or get rid of the red, it's going to ruin it. Or if I try to go like in here, I can do it just because it's fast. But usually when you go back in to fix, you get puddles, and then you have to see, I shouldn't have done that. So that's the key, is don't go back. Now I want to repeat this color somewhere. I'm ignoring the color of the actual objects. That was better. That was better. Of course, it's easier when it goes off the edge, as you know from the warm-up. See, I don't like what's happening here, but I can't do anything right now. Now, the only thing left I can paint now, guess what, is that. Because if I try to paint anything else, it's going to smush. And I might as well go with the same color. This is all going to smush if I do it. So I'm going to go to the same color just because it's strategic. And you can do different saturations, but I'd not get darker than this. I even went too dark, I think. So you don't want to get any darker than this is a good ballpark. See how fast I'm doing it? If you slow down, you're not going to get the even wash. You can try it again. You have that other half of paper. But that's it. That's all I can do. Because this overlaps, that overlaps, all this overlaps, and these overlap. So I have to set it aside for the night. So there it goes. Let me just show you the technique. This is just a warm-up. But it's been sitting for days, so even wash, overlap. That's it. I got a little puddle there. I went over it one more time, but that's it. Now this overlap is what we're looking for. It's a new color made out of those two. And it's a technique more than it is the color choice. Here's another one. Now when you do it, you always want to start in the white, otherwise you don't know what the color was to begin with. And there you go. That's the glaze right there. That one wasn't successful because the brush was too small. I'm going to just do a big one here. A little streaky, but no more than twice. There you go. See those colors that emerge? I'm going to do it again because I still feel like it was too streaky over here. I'll do it over, this is pretty good here, I'll do. So you can see how the color changes as it goes over the other one. So this is basically the technique called glazing. That's a better saturation. But that's the project. You're going to come back the next day and do your other shapes on top. And whatever color you want. But if you do this the day before it should be done, it mushes and it ruins the technique. So definitely set it aside so that you can create some of these. This one was the most effective. And again, if it gets weird, just do it again. A lot of times we redo projects a lot. This is the one I liked over here. A little too puddly. See, I was getting a little puddly. Remember, you can always squeeze your brush out if it gets too puddly. That's pretty good. Tiny puddle at the end. When you do brownie towel, the only bit you use is right there. Just tiny. And you barely touch it down and it picks it up without touching the surface. But it dried, it's fine. I'm not going to mess this up at this point. It's all trial and error. And I can't go back over something wet. I can only go back over something dry for glazing. So you can see it mush there because that was one of the wet ones. So that's it. That's the glazing project with organic shapes found in your home.